Aloha! Today I'm trying out a new location, which is on the grounds of where I live, so let me know how it works for you. And we are going to be playing today a lot with circles. So we're going to start with a Z Health kind of experience where you do a diagnostic test, then we do a movement, and then you retest to see how it affected you. So the one for today, one I often do, is balance. So bring your feet together and close your eyes. And notice if you're swaying. This may be enough. Just notice if this is challenging, just stay here. Otherwise, for extra challenge, lift your left foot. Oh, today I'm definitely a little off kilter. Notice your balance. All right, and then what I'd like you to do is walk a little bit in a circle around to the left. Just one time to start with, because this is something we don't do very often, turn our vestibular system that way. And then check your balance again. Mine already feels a little better. Let's see. Yeah, just going in a circle like that was helpful for me. So let's try the other direction. Go ahead and circle to the right. Slowly. This is something when you get better at, maybe you'll do faster, but it's good to start slow. And then again, check, lift your left leg. Right. So if you found that you improved, you know that's a good thing to do before you're going out and about in your day. If you found that it got worse, that's something I would do again. Slow it down and do it really slowly, and maybe not even go in the full circle. So that was a full body circle. We're going to start with the biggest joint in our body, the hip joint. Take your feet a little bit wider apart. Clearly you don't need a mat today. A block is all we're going to be using. So go ahead and circle your hips. Just basic hip circles. Getting the biggest joint of the body moving. And then reverse directions. And just noticing how the hip joints move in the pelvis. All right, and then back to center. Let's stand in mountain pose again. Anytime you want during this practice, you might choose to go into a chair, especially when you're doing body parts where you don't need to be standing. But I'm going to be standing for the practice. You are welcome to use a chair. Another thing to note is that when you stand with your feet together, it's more challenging than if you stand with your feet a little bit apart. So if you're standing, you want more of a challenge, stand with your feet together. Less of a challenge, stand with your feet apart. Let's build mountain pose. So go ahead, lift your toes. Root down at the base of the toes, your heels. Encourage your spine to lengthen up. Take a moment, bring your hands to your hips. Encourage the lower back ribs to lift faster than the lower front ribs. All the way up through the crown of your head. Nice breath. Release your arms on down. And just take a few breaths here. Just gentle inhalations, gentle exhalations. Just moving more deeply into the practice. And then with your eyes still closed, bring your palms together over your heart. Press your palms in towards each other. Lengthen up through the spine. Continue to lengthen up all the way up through the crown of your head. The nice long neck. Bring your chin towards your chest. You might feel a little lengthening along your spine. And then bring your head back up. Let your eyes open. Take your arms by your side. And roll your shoulders up and around. So we did one of the big joints, hip joints, another big joint, shoulder joints, right? Sometimes if all you do in a yoga practice is do things for your hips and shoulders, you wind up feeling great. Or sometimes you discover crunchy places. But today we're going to do the big joints and the smaller joints. So I'd like to start with the ankle. So go ahead and take your feet a little bit further apart. Take your left foot forward and be on the ball of your foot. So as if you were wearing very high heels and one leg, right? Bing! which, we're not going to stand here forever, so it's okay to do a little bit. Just like it's okay to wear high heels once in a while. So what you're going to do is circle the ankle. I'm going to start with the ankle open on top, then take the ankle to your lateral, which would be the left, take it back, take it inside and around. So keeping the base of the toes, rooting down, circle your ankle slowly. So the intention here is to not do a ton of movement in the leg, but to really work on isolating the movement. You'll see that my leg is moving, but most of the movement is coming from the ankle. Can you maintain Tadasana as you do this? Do you notice that your hand might be gripping? Because that's, again, the brain recruiting more help. That's why we often grip when we do something that's hard. Go ahead and switch directions. Good, and then release. Wiggle the toes a little bit. So having mobile ankles is helpful if you step on a banana peel or any other kind of peel that you might slip on, or just peel so that you don't peel down off the floor. Right? When we have the mobility, if we step on something, we can rock and move and catch ourselves. If we don't have the mobility, we just go clunk. Okay, so second side, come onto the ball of your toes and circle. And then switch directions. Good. And then release. Wiggle the toes a little bit. So one thing about actually when you're circling is it helps to have more mobile feet. So let's do one more thing for the foot that isn't true circle, but it's still very good. So you're going to take your left foot back, just open up the top of the foot, press the top of the foot down, keep your spine nice and long, try not to banana or to go forward. You can judge how far back to take the leg based on how it feels, how much open you get the top of the foot, and then either stand here, this might be enough of a stretch, or bend and straighten your knee a few times. Okay, and then second side. Open at the top of the foot, up and down a few times. Good. All right. Then let's go back to the hips. I love going back to hip circles. Take them a little wider. Now that your ankle's a little mobile, your hips might be a little more mobile. So hips forward, to the left, back, and around. Notice I'm keeping my spine long as I do this. So most of the mobility is coming from the ankles and the hips together. And then switch directions. Okay, and then bring your feet back together. And feet, not exactly together, hips distance apart. We're going to do some circles with the knees. So imagine your little dots on your knees, and this is where we're trying to keep the knees as parallel as possible. If it works to put your fingers there, go ahead. If that's a little too much in your back, do not do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to bend your knees forward, then you take them a little to the left, and then circle them around to straighten them back, and then to the right. So again, you may feel, and then back forward, and straighten again. You may feel how this requires, again, a lot of ankle mobility. So ankles and knees high, very much connected. So bend the knees to the left, around, and to the right. Working on keeping them as parallel as possible. This is where sometimes interesting things get revealed about minor imbalances, or it feels minor that maybe shows up later in life. Take a moment, breathe, and go back, and then we'll go to the second side. So bend your knees, take them first to the right, back, and left, and around. So you straighten them when you go all the way back. I know some practices they keep the knees slightly bent. In this practice, we actually want the knees to go straight. Good. And then release. Mountain pose. Roll your shoulders a few times. Go ahead and take your legs wide. See how the hips are feeling. Legs wide. Turn the left leg in. Right leg in. Sorry, left leg out. And a few hip openers again. So part of doing that circling in the legs, the thighs, the ankles, the knees, helps open up for standing poses. Foreshadowing. Up and down. Spine stays long. Getting the movement there. All right, and then second side. Left leg in, right leg out. Just a few times bending and straightening. And then turn the right leg in, walk your feet together, and take a little walk just around. We don't want to stand in one spot the whole time, just take a little walk around. Doesn't have to be a straight walk. Could be a circular walk, could be a figure 8 walk. All right, and then back to center. So the next one I want you to go fairly slowly if you've never done this before. This is a half circle to access the lumbar spine. So I sometimes call it the robot because I like to make little noises like I'm moving like a robot, which goes like this. You shift your hips to the right as you side bend to the left, and then let your shoulders be really relaxed. So it's a half circle. You take your lower spine and actually round it, letting the shoulders release. Then you come around towards center, over to the other side, and back up. I'll do it from the side to show you. So start on the left side, go, that's the robot. Right? You let yourself round, so it's kind of the opposite of hip circles. You're moving the spine around the pelvis as opposed to the pelvis around the spine. Go to the side and back up. 2 more times. You can start with them being small, and then you can make them bigger if it feels good to make it bigger. But really, please start small, because we often don't move this way, even though it can help create better movement. But if you haven't done it much, of course, you don't want to overdo. Okay, so second side. Making sure the microphone is on. Okay, to the right. So from the back, so it's really a movement. The back rounds as you let your spine release forward. I know a lot of times I teach about not rounding the back, but sometimes it's good to do it. Come back up, roll forward. So half circle, come back up. Again, choose how far forward, what feels good for you. One more time. Good. And then roll your shoulders up and around. Okay, let's go back to hips. So when the legs are straight and we do hip circles, we get a lot of movement in the spine. The pelvis in the legs are moving in different directions. Another way to do a circle with the hips and thighs is to bend your knees. You have more control over the pelvis here. So we're going to start by going forward and back, side to side, and then circle. So it looks like this. Forward and back. Forward and back. Now this is easy for you. I'd like you to focus on keeping your upper body steady. It's very easy to go forward and back and kind of move everything, but can you keep your upper body steady as you go forward and back? and then side to side. So to the left, to the right, left, right. So for today, just think of lifting the hip of the side you're going to, and your knees will kind of automatically bend. If you want help with thinking about how your knees bend, your knee bends on the lower side. So the hip that goes up straightens as the other knee bends. Now here too, can you, instead of moving everything, can you isolate the movement? That's the extra challenge. You might even choose to take an arm position. This would be arm position for hula right here. Okay, so now, of course, we put them together. Ready? Bend your knees. Front, left, back, right, front, left, back, right, front, left, back, right, and circle. Smooth it out. Again, you may choose a different arm position. In Hawaiian, this is called an ami. Some people just call this hip circles. And if you want a little extra challenge, you can go a little lower. Now, as you go lower especially, this is when those ankle circles and those knee circles really come into play, because it requires a lot of ankle mobility to get down low and the knee stability mobility. Okay, and then go ahead and switch directions. Circling around. Maybe going a little up and down. Good, and then come up to standing. Roll the shoulders again. Why are we rolling the shoulders? Because sometimes you may get a little tense in the jaw and the throat and the shoulders as you're focusing on the hip circles. Walk around a little bit. If you found that one direction at the beginning of class was really good to turn, go ahead and do that direction right now. All right, and then let's find mountain pose, feet grounding, spine lengthening. Nice inhalation. Exhale, go ahead and bend your right knee. Come onto the ball of your right foot. Your right foot. We're going to strengthen the left side. So hold, give yourself a little touch here. Keep that side active, and then rock the right leg a little in and out. Not quite a circle, but still getting that mobility. Keep your fingers on your hip points with the intention of making the movement just in the thigh. So today there is definitely a lot of isolation work, trying to really move each part, which develops a better movement map. So your brain is more clear about how you move in space. All right, so switch sides. Give yourself a little reminder here. Keep that active. Rock back and forth. Good. Now, from here, take your legs wide. Grab your block. Let's do a simple forward fold as we're doing all this hip and leg work. Hip sockets lift up and over your thigh bone. Bring your hand onto the block. If you have two blocks, that's fine. If you have one block, it works as well. Press your thigh bones back, lengthen your spine forward. Breathe. All right, and then to come up, bend your knees slightly. Inhale, come on up. And walk your feet together. So the next thing you might want a wall for, we're going to be balancing on the block to get some more circular movements in the in the hip joint. So go ahead and step with your right leg on the block and find a little balance. So please use something to hold on to. Of course, this strengthens this hip, but the focus right now is going to be on the circling of the leg that's free. So first, internally and externally rotate that leg a few times. Encourage the movement to come from the hip joint. And take note if it feels easier in one direction or the other. On average, most people find the external rotation easier, but that's not always the case. Release that. Take a moment, shake and shimmy. And second side. Internal and external rotation. Notice if one is more challenging than the other. And notice if it's the same or if it's different than the first side. Okay, release that. And now we're going to come back to the first side after we shake and shimmy. Stand on the right leg again. Now choose whichever side was more challenging. Was it internal or external? Choose that. And then circle the leg. Now I like to keep my hand here to feel the muscle engage as I circle around. So that's a gluteus medius. Feel free to use your hand to hold yourself up if you. What's more important is the movement, not if you can balance. I just don't have a wall since I'm outside. And there's no tree within reach. Okay, switch directions. Good. You might feel a little fatigue. If you don't feel fatigue yet, stay here just a little longer and play around with movements, whatever direction. If you've had enough, stand on both feet and do a few standing hip circles. Otherwise, stay here a little longer, just explore. All right, and then everyone release 3 more hip circles to the left. And then to the right. Let's come back onto the block. Left foot on the block. And find either that internal or external rotation. For me, it's internal. And circle. And then switch directions. Trying to keep everything stable, it's challenging. And again, if you've had enough, come onto your hands and come onto your feet, regular hip circles. Otherwise, just play around a little. Explore what are the different directions your leg might go. Can you stay stable? I was slipping, but can you stay stable in the spine, every place else, as you move the leg around in different directions? Okay, and then release. Woo, that's a good one. That's a good one to practice. Whenever, shake and shimmy. And a few, 3 more hip circles one direction. And then the other direction. Okay, you may have noticed we're moving up the body with a little bit of kind of up and down as we go. But now we're going to come to the rib cage. Yes, we're going to practice circling the rib cage. So first, we need to develop mobility side to side and forward and back. So many of you, I know you've often done the up and the forward and back, which is really up and down as well. So give it a little tap to your sternum as you stand in mountain pose, and then lift the sternum up and then round. So it's like a standing cat and cow tilt, or really the kitten and calf. Just up and down, moving the spine. Now if you feel like you've gotten really good at this, been practicing this, you can do it while walking in a circle. Choose the direction that worked better for you from the beginning of class. That's one of the great things about these movements. Once you start building a map, you can add on, you can stack things. Okay, so we got the up and down. Now it's time for side to side. This is often a little more challenging for people because it's not a movement people generally do, which is literally moving your rib cage side to side. So take your hands onto your ribs and then shift the rib cage to the left. See, the hips stay steady. The rib cage goes to the left, through center, and then to the right. Through center, left, and then right. And play around, going back and forth. If this is new to you, take your time with it. I have seen people who could not even fathom doing it becoming quite adept at it, just by a little practice, side to side. If you like a little more challenge, you could take your arms up. That might even help you because it gives you the sense of direction. Reach, 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 and reach. All right, so we did front, back, side to side. Guess what? Yes, it's time to circle. So first we go up, left, down, right, up, left, down, right, and then maybe smooth it out. And again, if this is something that works fairly easy for you, you can walk with it. You can go in a circle around with it. And then other direction. Up, right, back, left. Up, right, back, left. Up, right, back, left, and circle. And again, you might choose to walk with it. So I am circling the rib cage. The arms are moving because the arms are attached, but I'm not initiating the movement from my arms. Okay, so now, bonus, just for fun, something to work towards, is to circle the rib cage and then circle the hips. So it looks like this. I'm going to circle my rib cage around once, and then I'm going to circle my hips around once. So I'm going up and around to the left, and then around to the left. Up and around, down and around. 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 Something to play with. Try the other direction. Around and down. To the left and around, left and around. Up and around, down and around. Up and around, down and around. Up and around, down and around. Feels kind of fun. Little kooky. Okay, enough of that. Mountain pose. Find your breath. We're going to move up the body to come to actually the neck. We're not going to do circles with the neck because most of us, that mobility takes a long time to build. So we're just going to go forward and back with the neck. Little like a chicken. I don't think you can see the chicken. There's one to my right. Maybe she'll join us in a little bit. So the chickens, you take your head forward and back. Forward, back. Forward, back. Forward, back. Again, a little more challenge. You might walk in a circle. All right, and then roll your shoulders. So we are actually at the shoulders now. We're going to do some shoulder rolls, nice big shoulder rolls. Up, squeeze them back and down and forward. Up and back and down. Forward. Now, this time, stay up for a moment. Let your arms relax. So the squeeze is coming from the shoulders. Then take your shoulders back. Really squeeze the shoulder blades together. I call this the penguin. So the arms are relaxed, but you're squeezing the shoulder blades. Then it comes down and then forward. So up, back, down, forward, up and around. So there's the circling of the shoulders, which includes the shoulder blades. Now there's a lot of different ways to circle the arms, and we're going to do a few. One is to literally circle the arm, to rotate the arm in the socket. So a lot of times when we roll our arms, we think we're doing it from the arm. We're actually doing it from lower down. I'd like you to focus on doing it from here. So give a tap on your left shoulder where the arm bone comes into the shoulder joint, and then rotate. External, internal. Again, keeping everything else steady. So if your shoulder blade starts going up, you're moving from the shoulder blade. We really want to have the movement from the arm itself. And then other side. This is actually a really great practice for having, any of you have tension in your neck? Anyone have tension in their neck ever? Haha. I don't know anyone who hasn't at some point in their life. But it's getting that isolation of movement. Just like I often talk about the importance of having differentiated a movement of the thigh bone in the hip joint, in the hip socket. Same thing with the upper arm in the glenohumeral joint, which is the arm joint. Good. Okay, and then circle a few times with the shoulder blades. Now, and differentiate that. We did the movement in the arms to the lower arms. So to get a better sense of that, go ahead and take a hold of your bicep and hold it. Hold it inward. So grab your left bicep, hold it inward, and then turn your lower arm so your palm faces down, and turn your lower arm so your palm faces up. Keep mountain pose. So no movement in the shoulder blades. All the movement now is coming from the lower arm. Back and forth. And this actually will lead to elbow circles. Well, let's do both arms first. Okay, release that, and then second side. So hold on to the bicep. Keep your shoulder blade down the back, internally and externally, rotating the arms. So let's now take that rotation into elbow circles. So go ahead and hold onto the bicep, hold it in, make a gentle fist with your hand, roll your palm down. Now don't move the bicep. Take your fist by your chin, take it around, straighten the arm, rotate down, coming around a few times. These are elbow circles. There's a short video too that goes into greater detail about them. All right, release that. It's actually good for the knees. Doing the elbow circle on the opposite, so if you have knee issues, doing the elbow circle on the opposite knee. So by that I mean if your left knee hurts, elbow circle with your right arm. It's a little more detailed than that, but that's a good place to start. So palm faces down, bring it up by your chin, take it around. Good. And then release. And take a little walk now and swing your arms. Take a longer walk. I'm going to go down this way. Really encourage your arms to swing. And now we come to our wrists. So wrist circles. Generally, I'm going to bring my hand closer because generally when people do wrist circles, they tend to move their fingers. I want you to actually move from the wrist itself. So we start by going up and down. You lift the wrist, lower the wrist. So you see the hand, the fingers are not doing so much of the work. It's really a lot of the forearm moving. Up and down. And then second side, up and down. Moving the forearm up, moving the forearm down. All right, that's part of the circle, and then the other part is side to side. So this part is harder, is to literally move your forearm out to the left and then to the right. Sometimes it helps to tap your finger a little to get the movement from the forearm. It's actually, I find it easier if I put my elbow by my side. So the elbow doesn't move so much, and then I have to move the wrist and forearm. Second side, elbow by the side, back and forth. Fingers relaxed as possible. Okay, and then back to the first side. Circle. So up, side, down, side. Up, side, down, side. And keep circling. And then switch direction. I keep looking off to the right because there's some chickens there. So keep circling, and I'll show you the chickens. Keep circling your wrist. You can take a quick look at my friends who are making lots of noise. There's one. That's Marilyn, the golden one. I think the brown one is Amelia. The other brown one is Earhart. Just circling the wrists. Chickens, I don't know if every chicken's ever circled the wrists. All right, so come back to the shoulders. Wiggle your jaw a little bit. We have done a lot of circling. One circle we haven't done is bigger circles with the arms. So take your arms up and around like you're doing a backstroke. Maybe walk backward as you're doing it. Maybe walk forwards as you're doing it. Maybe you walk a little in a circle as you're doing it. Okay, and then take a moment, notice how you feel. Stand in mountain pose, feet grounding, spine lengthening. Let your breath flow. So after doing all this circle practice, I do really feel like doing some standing poses. So we're just going to do a little bit of that and bring the quality of the fluidity of the circle into the standing poses. So take your legs wide. Big asana. Arms wide, legs wide. Left leg in, right leg out. Reach from the center out through the fingertips. Virabhadrasana 2. Bend your front knee. Look out over your left arm. Breathe. Maybe here, little bonus action, little circles of the arms. And then switch directions. Now keep your left arm circling the same way, but circle the right arm the opposite way. Whoa. All right, and then just hold. Virabhadrasana. I'm sorry, did I say 1? I meant 2. Virabhadrasana 2. And then straighten the front leg. Bring your hands to your hips. Second side. Left leg in, right leg out. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, warrior 2. Look out over the left arm. Breathe. Jaw softening. And then circle, little circles. And then opposite direction. Keep the right arm circling the same way. Shift the circle of the left arm. Oh, that's a little hard. The transition is hard. Once you've made the transition, it's okay, but the transition itself is hard. All right, and then hold the posture. And release. Straighten the front leg. Bring your hands to your hips. Go ahead and hinge forward. Grab your block if you find it useful. Come up. Nice long spine. Walk your hands as far forward as they will go. If it feels better to just come onto your fingertips, you can do that. Option to stay here or come towards Prasarita Padottanasana. Let your spine release towards the ground. And then slowly make your way up. Nice long spine. either bend your knees or walk your feet a little closer. Inhale, come up. Come together. Mountain pose. So I said a few standing poses. So I'm going to give you the option now of doing whatever standing pose feels good to you. You can repeat what we just did. You can come into side angle. You can do a warrior one. You can stay in mountain pose or tree pose. I'm going to play with Ardha Chandrasana. That's another option. Half moon pose. I'm going to use a block. Legs wide. Right leg in, left leg out. Bend the front knee. I'm a little on a slope, so this will be interesting. Spiraling of the spine. And maybe before I take my leg up, my arm up, I'm going to play with circling the leg a little. The top leg, that is. Oh. And then switch directions. And then play with the balance. Oh, and then release, bend the front leg. Come back on up. Other direction. Left leg in, right leg out. Bend the knee. Circle. And switch directions. Play with balance. Whoa! It's challenging. It's good. And then release. All right, one more time. Come out of your standing pose, whichever one you chose. Hip circles, 4 big ones to the left. And then 4 big ones to the right. And then come back to center. Take a moment, mountain pose. And then circle whatever feels good to circle. Or circular-like, flowy-like. Maybe do a few things at once. And then circle your way down to the ground. Flow your way down to the ground. Let's take a gentle seated posture. Cross-legged works for you. Sit bones grounding, spine lengthening. On your exhalation, spiral from the belly to the left. Don't use your hands to pull you yet. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, spiral. As you go further, right hand to the left knee. As you go further, left hand behind your back. One more inhalation. On the exhalation, unwind. Switch across of your legs. Second side. Left hand to the right knee, right hand gently behind the back, but not using the hands yet to pull into the twist. Using the muscles of the torso. One more inhalation. Exhale to unwind. Time for Shavasana. Go ahead and lie on down. If there's other movements you want to experience before Shavasana, take a few breaths to do that. Otherwise, lie down on your back. I recommend starting, when you come down, have your knees bent first, then come down, right? And then straighten your legs. Take your arms by your side, close your eyes. Time to watch your breath. Let the breath guide you to Shavasana, to relaxation. And then, slowly and gently, bring a little movement to your fingers, bring a little movement to your toes. And then reach a little through your arms, reach a little through your legs. Take your time, bending one knee at a time, roll over to your side, make your way up to sitting. Cross sit bones ground, spine lengthens. Let's bring our palms together over our hearts and create little circles with the palms. And then go the other direction. All right, so may our circular actions inspire us to move in many different directions that support a greater sense of comfort, ease, joy, and freedom. Namaste. So thanks for joining me. I want to let you know that a lot of the things we did here, pretty much all of them, you can do as a whole practice like we just did, but you can also do on their own. Like you may see me walking around, or even when I'm talking to you, you might see me doing a wrist circle, an elbow circle, one of the leg circles. All of these are great ways to increase your movement map so that you can move and groove with greater alacrity, joy, comfort, freedom, all that good stuff. So play around with circles, and I'll see you next time. Aloha!